couple minutes behind, so we're going to go ahead and get the council meeting started. I want to call the meeting to order. We will. Hello, I'll start over. Hello, everyone. I'm Councilwoman Noah, Mayor Pro Tem. Mayor Jones is running a couple minutes behind, so we'll go ahead and get tonight's meeting, February 10th, 2026. Meetings, we'll call it to order. I would like to everyone to stand for a silent prayer and then and then we will go into the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Roberts, please take the attendance.
Noah,
Here.
Councilwoman Covington,
Here.
Councilman Cassoff,
Here.
Councilman Franklin,
Here.
Councilman Palmer,
Here.
Councilman Williams,
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Mayor Jones is running behind. She will be here shortly. Now it's time for our public comment section. I ask everyone when they're called by the clerk to step to the podium. Please speak into the microphone. Clearly state your name and your address. Please remember that you have 3 minutes and there is a clock there. And whenever the clerk is ready, we'll start.
Laverne Mitchum.
Good evening, Council. In recognition of Black History Month, I'd like to read a letter from the Birmingham jail by Dr. King. And this letter was also put in his book, Why We Can't Wait. Letters from the Birmingham jail, Dr. Martin Luther King. Perhaps it's easy for those who have never felt the sting of darts of segregation to say, wait. But when you have seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers, your fathers, and drown your sisters and brothers at whim, when you see the vast majority of your 20 million Negro brothers smothering in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of an affluent society, when you suddenly find your tongue twisted and your speech stammering as you seek to explain to your 6-year-old daughter why she can't go to the public amusement park that she has just seen advertised on television. And you see tears welling up in her eyes when she is told that Fun Town is closed to colored children. And you see ominous clouds of inferiority beginning to form in her little mental sky. When you take a cross-country drive and find it necessary to sleep all night in the uncomfortable corners of your automobile because motels will not accept you. When your wife and your mother are never given the respected title Mrs., when you are forever fighting a degenerating sense of nobodiness, then you will understand why we find it difficult to wait. There comes a time when the cup of endurance runs over and men are no longer willing to be plunged into the abyss of despair. That was from Birmingham Jail, April 16, 1963.
Thank you.
Dr. Bush Williams.
Good evening, everyone, to
Good
all the
evening.
council people, okay, men, women. Thank you for allowing me an opportunity to speak this evening. I have questions related to the consent decree.
Ma'am, before you start, would you state your name and your?
Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Arthelda
And if you
Bush.
could speak up so they can hear you, everyone can hear you as best as we can,
Okay,
please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Dr. Arthelda Bush Williams. I live at 805 Chateau Valley Court here in Ferguson. Want anything else? Okay. I have questions regarding the consent decree. I am behind in terms of learning more about the progress that has been made so far. And I would like to know, has it already been terminated?
So, because you probably have never spoken during public comment section, this is the time for you to speak and share, but we usually don't respond back. If you have a
Okay.
list of questions, you can leave them with the clerk.
Okay.
Now, I'm Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not the mayor. If you want the mayor or the city to follow up with you, please leave your information and we can certainly do that.
Okay.
But we won't have any back and forth dialogue.
All right.
Okay?
Well, I would like to say the reason for asking this question is because we have some training that will be made available if desired for the police department related to mental health and observing individuals who are having a crisis and how they may respond appropriately to assist that person. That it's called mental health first aid, and that training is offered by the University of Missouri. So I'd like to have an opportunity to speak further with the police department about it, but that training is available to them. And I just wanted to know more about what kind of training they've had so far and if they're open to this type of training.
Okay, well, so please leave that information with the clerk, please, if you have a card. And then I'm sure the clerk will pass that on to the city manager. He can pass that on and they can discuss that and we can go from there, okay? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Lorraine McGregory.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
To all the councils on the board tonight. My name is Lorraine McGregory. My address is 930 North Elizabeth. Before I get started, I just want to thank you all for petitioning for me the last time that I was here. You guys who did petition for me to open up a daycare. That's why I'm before you tonight. I want to especially thank Councilwoman Noah for keeping me abrupt, calling me and letting me know, or texting me and letting me know when the meetings are. Thank you so much for that. The reason I am before you is I'm still petitioning for a family home childcare in my home of 10 children. I started this project probably, I think, May or June of last year. And I've been trying to, go through Ferguson and get an approval so that I can have a childcare in my home. Just recently had a Zoom meeting with the Planning Commission board, whom everyone approved me and said that they would I guess, speak to you all about what's going on. I did find out that there is just one daycare in Ward 1, where when I first petitioned, they told me that it was already 4 or more, but we just found out that there's only 1. So my petition tonight is that you grant me the permission to operate a childcare of 10 in my home. I am licensed through the state as of today. I got everything that I need other than your vote tonight. And I'm just here petitioning that you guys vote that I can, pursue this because this is my livelihood. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jill Holtrop. I'm sorry.
Did somebody answer the question?
No, she was
Oh,
calling the
okay.
next person. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Jill Holtrop. I live at 100 South Clay. And I'm here because, in case you haven't seen the postings on Facebook, in honor of Black History Month, the Ferguson Historical Society is sponsoring a book talk by author Patricia Washington entitled Sundown to Burndown. It will no doubt be a very interesting talk. It will take place next Thursday evening, February 19th at 6:30 at the Community Center. And we look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Thank you. Adrian Shropshire.
Good evening, council. Just a few words of,
Sir, would you?
oh,
state your name
Adrian
and
Shropshire,
address?
709 Forest Avenue,
Thank you.
63135.
Thank
I stand before you this evening to give a compliment to our Public Works Department. Let me tell you, this is the first snow that we had in quite a while. And they really did a great job on getting our streets together. Endless hours away from their family, just to serve us citizens, to make it possible for us to be able to move around and go to work and just to get around town. And I want to commend them for such a good job that they did. And then something else I saw today, which I hadn't seen in a long time. The street sweeper. Wow. Thumbs up on that. I mean, the worst look in a neighborhood is when you got 2 foot of leaves stacked up 8 inches high off the curb. The aesthetics of your neighborhood reflects on your curb and gutter and your easement. I remember back when I moved here, they had Pride of the City. And I really hope that comes back one day because it's needed, because everybody gets involved to make the city look great. I mean, it's all over the city. All wards are involved in this. And they were giving out, they had first, second, third, and they gave out small gifts, small tokens for your work and for your pride. Pride of the city. I think that's great. I want to speak on our restaurants that we have. We got a new restaurant coming in. I'm quite sure everybody knows about it, called the Ferguson Chop House. I'm looking forward to it because I get tired of going to our neighboring cities to get a steak. And you have to, are you going to Hazelwood, or you're going out Chesterfield, or you're going someplace outside our own demographics. And I think it's great that someone took time to put their faith in our city and our citizens to make a decent steakhouse here. I think it's great. And if nobody's been to the restaurants now that we have, I'm gonna tell you, they got some good food. And I think everybody should at least try to patronize our restaurants in our city because they're the livelihood of our city. That's where our city starts at, is our corridor where all the food's at. So I think if you haven't been to one or two, they're family reasonable, they're family friendly. And one thing I'd like to say, I would like to have somebody go to Be Juiced. Very good establishment. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Mildred Klein's.
Mildred Klein, 7444 Castro. Good evening, everyone. Happy Black History Month. So what I want to talk about tonight is, I only got 3 minutes, I got a lot, but I really like to piggyback off of Adrian Shropshire, talking about the Public Works Department, because this past year, they have been awesome, in my opinion. If you go down my street, they will tell you the same thing, because they came and they cut all that overgrowth back, and then we had 2 sinkholes or whatever you want to call it on our street. I called, emailed the city manager, Public Work. I think the man's name is his name Corey? Yes, if you all can just get the word to him, I think they did an awesome job. They were right on it. I was like, oh my goodness, thank you for the the timely response. So they did a really, really good job. So I heard Dale was talking about their public works, but ours is awesome as well, with the leadership of Corey. But I want to talk about Black History this month because my mind, I keep thinking back to when I really became aware of just the injustices and the history that Black people have been fighting forever. And I remember when I first became aware of it, I was a sophomore in high school, and this chemistry teacher, I was taking chemistry, and this chemistry teacher, I attended the St. Louis Public Schools, and this chemistry teacher, which was a white man, he came over to my school, which was Solon High School in the predominantly, I don't think we had any white students over there. And he came over and he was like, I cannot teach. And we were like, why not? Because every station, like we might have 4 stations in the road, maybe 1 worked on this road and 2 worked on the other road, and then all the different, we didn't know, you don't know what you don't have. And he was like, where I came from, all the stations worked. We had all the support, resources that we need, and so that was like an awakening for me, like, so it's not equitable, and so from that point on, I can start really becoming more aware of my surroundings. And I remember I live off of Highway 70, coming down 70, they had this major road construction and going right through the Black neighborhood, not one Black person working, not even holding a flag. And they talk about qualifications, nobody. And so we shut the highway down. I mean, I was so proud we shut that highway down, demanding that they hire more minorities. And I'm saying the same, I'm here in Ferguson now, I want to see more minorities. When you all are contracting all these businesses, look for minorities. You can be intentional, you can be deliberate, and I need to see more people that look like me. We're paying the taxes. I want to see more people that look like me on some of these jobs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Erica Brooks.
Good evening, Erica and Brooks, 462 Mueller. I want to bring up again about the website as far as the archive station not being up, videos not being present. It says, oops, there's a problem. I don't understand why in the first place the video and the archives were taken down. I know y'all talked about some monies and some reconstruction or whatever is happening or whatever, but when it comes to, like I say, being transparent, being able to have access to the videos that give us information about what's going on in the city, we're not able to do it. I mean, I know y'all, do YouTube or whatever, but it's not going to go back to, 2008, 9, whatever. But just the transparency and the things that are happening, transactions that are happening in our community, and you're not being able to have resources to access what's going on, it doesn't make sense. So, I mean, it's one thing to reconstruct, it's another thing to just eliminate and erase history off the internet. So that's mainly what I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it? Okay. Well, that concludes tonight's public comment section, and Mayor Jones is here now, so we're going to trade seats. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Please excuse my tardiness. Congressman Bell was kind of lengthy tonight. I'll share more later. At this time, we're going to move to our manager support report. City Manager?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, it's a pleasure being here in front of everyone tonight. Troy Doyle was supposed to give a police update. He is out sick. He will do that update next meeting. I did want to bring up that council had a desire to have the sidewalks shoveled. And this past snow, we were able to do that. First off, for safety, because so many people were walking on Florissant Road. But I can't guarantee every time we're gonna be able to do it, but if the snow is gonna be on the ground for a while, we'll make sure that we get to that. The other thing is, the webpage, Ms. Brooks, hopefully that will all be taken care of. We're redesigning the webpage now. I'm working with the, Civic Plus, who is in charge of the webpage. The laundromat looks like it's open now. I don't know when the grand opening is, but it should be shortly. And Drake's Place is, hopefully gonna be opening soon. I know we're working with them to try to get them, their permits and everything back so they can get the work done. That's a little bit of, where we are right now. But that's all I have.
Any questions? Councilman, Casal.
One quick thing, appreciate you guys, doing that work on the sidewalks. I think it's very important to accommodate the pedestrians because we have so many of them. If you would, when you get a chance, there are some business owners that are plowing their parking lots onto the sidewalk and undoing the effort that the city's making. And when they do that, it's a big mountain of snow and people have to walk out into the street to get around it, even if the rest of the sidewalk is clean. And I'm not gonna call out anybody in specific, but if you go, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I'll talk to actually the nuisance, team was able to do the sidewalks. They also did the dead ends for, the city. So that will, let Public Works do a little bit more of the snow removal in the main areas. So I'll talk to nuisance, team leader and find out those addresses.
Greatly appreciated, sir.
Councilwoman Noah.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions. City manager, okay, so you talked about the website being under renovation. So are the archive meetings, all the archive data, the meetings, the recordings, are those going to come back? Because
I'm gonna give to Dave.
Okay.
Website and, he can talk a little bit more.
So all the data still exists, it's just a bad link between where it was housed at. So it's still in the archives, but when we're redesigning the webpage, it's gonna change the whole outlook. So there's no point in fixing all the links for
Okay.
all those videos right now, when it's all gonna get redone again, we're doing the work twice. So we're in talks with Civic Plus right now. It's gonna be a total redesign. We have different head pages for several different departments now, similar to what we had parks. It's gonna be easier to use, and there's also a bunch of ADA functions that are getting built in on the backside as well. So it's a complete redesign and update, and it just seems like a waste of resources to redo it twice,
Right.
if that makes sense.
no, and it does. I just for clarity, just so you know, because Ms. Brooks has asked a couple of times, just so we're all on the same page. My next question is regarding okay, so you said that we may not be able to have snow removed in the future on the sidewalks in downtown Ferguson. Can we get a better understanding why not? Because we're hiring more public works staff. Is it
So,
because we won't have the
Yeah,
staff?
right now I'm down 3 public works staff members.
Okay.
So, if I have the manpower, if we have the workforce power, we will get to it. If it's a snow that's gonna melt in the next day or two, we're
Okay.
probably not gonna get it because that's a pretty big
doesn't-
chunk
right.
of resources, right? But what we were seeing was the length of cold that we were gonna have and that the snow and, you know, everybody sees the mounds on the sidewalks, right? Right at the street and cuts and all that. Nobody can get through that. So that was a big concern of mine and Dave's, and that's why when council brought it up, we were trying to make sure that we did that this year.
No, and we appreciate that. I just want, so we'll have a thorough understanding. And so going back to Public Works, and because you all are hiring more maintenance staff, are these going to be seasonal staff or
No.
they're going to be
So we
full-time?
lost a couple members of the department and we were down, I believe, one. So we had interviews today and I think they made offers for those 2 gentlemen that had the interviews today.
Okay. And the Public Works staff, will they also work on not the maintenance, the nuisance and abatement?
No,
No,
Public Works does not work on nuisance abatement. Nuisance has its own team.
nuisance.
They may fall under Public Works, but Public Works and nuisance are 2 totally different. Just like Parks has a portion of Public Works as well. We do kind of share the employees at times when we can. Like right now, we're not cutting a lot of grass, right? So we're trying to find some alternative things that they can do. We're trying to get back to where we used to give out firewood all the time during the winter. We're trying to get back to that. We cut down a lot of trees, and so we got some of that resources that we can put good use to get back to our residents. But we're working on that. This is our first year with the nuisance team, and this was our first winter. So there's things we're learning that we need to do a little bit better, and we're gonna go forward with that for next year.
No, and that's great, and I appreciate that because we can see that things are becoming better organized. So no, thank you. The last question is
Sure.
there any update that you can provide on Arbor Village at this time, the progression that's being made?
So, Terry O'Neill, did the first set of inspections on the apartments that are not rented out right now. And tomorrow he'll finish that up. I think there's a total of 20 units, 20 or 25 units. And what they'll do is all the bad apartments that are gonna fail, we are gonna move those people into those good apartments, and while they redevelop or recondition and repair the other ones that they moved out of. So lighting has already been fixed. The camera system's up and running. It's not what we want, but we have to work with what we can get, right? Amron's already fixed all the lighting. The front desk, the front office is very receptive. They actually also have a real maintenance team. Now, the playground has been removed from the premises. The trash service has been restored. They also are paying for the dumpster that we put out there for 2 weeks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the city manager? Here none, city manager report is closed. We move to our special presentation. City manager, who we have?
Yes, ma'am. First, we'll call up from St. Louis County Save Our Lives program, and that's Danielle is, I'm not gonna pronounce her name. That's Spradley. So, and this is a live.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Good evening, everyone, Mayor, honorable council members. My name is Danielle Spradley, and I'm the Regional Policy Strategist for the County Executive's Office. And I'm here tonight to talk about St. Louis County's violence reduction efforts that we're trying to get funded and stand up to really start doing this work in St. Louis County in participation with municipalities in St. Louis County. So the mission of the violence reduction program is making neighborhoods safer across St. Louis County through violence reduction strategies to promote safer and streets and stronger communities. And what we're doing is we want to integrate regional anti-violence efforts to reduce violent crime through shared resources and collaboration. And then empower the community by supporting grassroots organizations and community-led partnerships and improve access to behavioral health and quality of life services in historically underserved communities. And all of this comes under the umbrella of the Save Lives Now program, which is a regional effort to reduce violent gun crime by 20% in the next 3 years. And this is with St. Louis City, St. Louis County, St. Clair County, possibly Jefferson County, and possibly St. Charles County, because we know that crime it doesn't know borders, right? We know folks that commit a shooting sometimes in St. Louis City are from St. Louis County or from St. Clair County, and then sometimes people from St. Louis City commit shootings in St. Louis County. So we all have to work together in these violence reduction efforts to bring shootings down in St. Louis County. So the strategies that we're using, that are being used for the Save Lives programming are well-known, evidence-proven efforts through a three-pronged effort called focused deterrence. And what focused deterrence is you're looking at the data. Your St. Louis County's Director of Violence Prevention, Tom Priest, is working with the St. Louis County Police Department and other police departments when we know that there are certain folks that are most likely to commit the gun violence. It's usually about 1% of the population is most likely to commit the majority of violence in St. Louis County. So through data, they know, okay, we need to focus on these folks that are most likely to commit gun violence. And how we approach that is with coming with street outreach teams and credible messengers and coming to the folks and saying, hey, we know what you're doing. We know what's going on, but we're here to help you not commit crime, not commit violence, and we can get you resources. What do you need? Do you need behavioral health? Do you need help moving? Do you need help getting employment? And then coming in, and do you need conflict resolution? What do we need to help you so that you can get out of this life or get out of this situation where you're not going to commit gun violence or be a victim of gun violence? And one big method of that is using cognitive behavioral theory and therapy, which refocuses the brain and decision making to stop someone from committing violence or bad decisions. So this exact same strategy and these methods have been used across the country. In King County, Seattle, they saw a 50% reduction in homicides and non-fatal shootings from 2021 to 2025 with their regional office of gun violence prevention in collaboration with 39 law enforcement agencies. So the thing about this program, and one thing that we've seen before, is programs will have the street outreach, but there's no accountability. It's against law enforcement completely. This program looks at how do we use the street outreach? How do we use the mental health behavioral tools? How do we use service providers to help folks? But also, if you commit crimes, we're going to hold you accountable. You will be held accountable if you commit a shooting, if you commit a crime. But we're here to help you stop doing that. This was also used in Oakland, and this is very important. Oakland is an interesting study because they had a 49% reduction in homicides and non-fatal shootings in 2 years when they funded this programming, and then they actually took it away and homicides and shootings went back up. And they've come back to this programming because they saw a quick, rapid progression back into homicide and shooting numbers going up. They brought the programming back and shootings have gone down again. So you need to have sustained implementation of this programming to make sure that it stays that way and homicides stay down. Baltimore is probably the most similar to our St. Louis County regional situation, where you have a large county with municipalities, and they've seen a 60% reduction in homicides and non-fatal shootings since 2021, and a 78% reduction in juvenile homicides since they've started implementing this type of programming in Baltimore. And it's been a massive, massive success story there. And St. Louis County and the Save Lives Now program has brought in, it is a program called ROCA, and they are doing training sessions with service providers here in the area, in St. Louis City, in St. Louis County, getting them ready to, if we can get the funding to really stand up that programming in St. Louis County. So this shows, this is a case in Baltimore again, where we're talking about the program is really working, but there is also that accountability measure. So this was in Baltimore, where they had approached a group that they knew were committing crimes and said, look, we will help you. We will get you resources. We know what you're doing. Please stop or we will hold you accountable. This group decided not to take the resources and not get the help. And they found all of these guns and drugs, and these folks were held accountable. So what's happening in St. Louis County? We have seen crime tick down, but I think everyone is very aware. You have one bad weekend. You have one bad week that we unfortunately recently saw here, I think last week or 2 weeks ago in Ferguson, and that number can go right back up. And situations like exactly what we just saw in Ferguson recently is the exact kind of situation where the Save Lives Now programming, the violence reduction program would have been on the ground knowing, hey, there's a conflict situation here. Let's approach the folks that are involved in this conflict before the funeral and try to make sure that we don't have violence occur. In St. Louis County, the community violence in the county is a massive, massive strain on our tax dollars. In 2025, homicides and shootings cost St. Louis County approximately $93.4 million. So when we looked at the cost of lost wages, we look at the cost of incarceration, we look at the cost of policing, and we look at the healthcare cost, trauma cost. Each homicide comes to about $1.1 million in tax dollars and investment in the community, and every non-fatal shooting costs $570,000. And right now, St. Louis County's budget deficit is $81 million. Shootings are costing us more than our budget deficit is. So with St. Louis County's gun violence reduction strategy, this is about precision, right? This isn't about just going and stopping and frisking and bothering everyone walking down the street. This is knowing, okay, where do we need to focus our attention? Who needs these resources the most? And how can we help them? And we use intensity. That's multiple approaches to get to engage to these folks, bringing credible messengers, bringing people that they could possibly trust, and approaching them. So an example is we had a shooting that occurred in unincorporated St. Louis County, and it turned out it was actually a family beef. And Tom Crease and Officer McCrary, they went to this family, and the first time they engaged with a few of them, and few of them did not want to talk. And eventually we did in fact get them to engage, and finally sat down with them and went over the fact it had to do with two family members beefing. They shot at each other and they were ready to retaliate. They really did want to retaliate in their minds. And when Director Crease sat down with him, he is a mental health professional, and started using the cognitive behavioral therapy, the family said, you know what? I do want to retaliate. It's my grief. I'm upset. But I know that that decision is going to just make this worse. And then there's going to be more grief in our family. And that has been a successful case where we stopped that retaliation, got them the services they needed. Then they were talking about the fact that we have a funeral and we don't have food for the funeral. We don't have the funds for a funeral. And we figured out a way, where can we get them funds to help them do this funeral, to help them grieve properly. And then we're getting them the resources they need to stop that violence before it escalates. But if we can get enough funding for this programming, we can start being on the ground before the shootings happen, and it saves lives, it saves the county money. One of the biggest economic issues we see in St. Louis County is that we have folks leaving neighborhoods, especially in unincorporated and other municipalities. You see that when you're knocking, I know I've knocked on the doors many times, and many of the homes are vacant. And it's because people don't want to come back to those hotspot neighborhoods because they fear violence, they fear gun violence. And then we have businesses that want to leave. We have folks that want to leave. And that is really hurting the region on multiple levels. So this will not only save lives, but it's going to save the county money so that we have more money to invest. We have companies coming here, and we have folks that want to stay here in St. Louis County. And if you look at this, part of this goes into kind of how the programming works. So the first thing that happens if there is a shooting is they have a shooting incident review. And like I was talking about earlier, they looked at, okay, who are the people involved in the shooting? Where did the violence start? Where did a beef start? Who do we need to reach out to make sure that we don't have a retaliation situation? Then they coordinate those resources to figure out what could possibly be needed to stop violence escalating. And then they start knocking on doors. We go and knock on the doors of the people most likely to commit that violence and have that conversation with them. And then if they're willing to take it, we connect them to support services. And if they're not, then we have to work on focused enforcement to make sure that the shooting doesn't occur. And then we make sure, one thing that's really important with this programming is data, that we know, okay, what is working, what isn't working. So with this, also working with UMSL to make sure all the data is collected and analyzed, and there's accountability on that. Where is the money going? Is this working? And so far we've had success. So right now, St. Louis County, because right now it's only Director Crease and Officer McCrary, because unfortunately the county council has not passed the budget to really implement this programming. They have gone out on 13 custom notifications. They've had 12, and the positive impact has been 75%, but we've had 0 retaliations with the people that we've engaged, and they've agreed to take these services. And 83% have accepted or been referred to this support services. And we've done 18 hours of identification into the folks that we needed to engage. So as we said, that the current cost of violence, direct costs is 49 million. And the 49 million is just strictly tax dollars. Then we have to also, on top of it, when we get the $94 million, we're talking about lost investment. We're talking about healthcare costs. We're talking about wage learning costs. We're talking about folks having to spend money on funerals. And so projected, if we are successful and able to actually implement this programming fully, the projected savings in the first few years, if we just stop 4 to 7 homicides, that is $20 million with 7 to 12 non-fatal shootings. So the next steps right now is, one of the reasons I'm here tonight is we need your support as members of St. Louis County, as folks that live in St. Louis County, to say to your county council, we want to see this type of programming across North County. We want to be able to implement all of these strategies. St. Louis City has started implementing these strategies. St. Clair County is going to next, but St. Louis County has to do its part in this work if it's going to be successful, because again, this has to be a regional focused program where we're working with all the municipalities, city, county, St. Clair County, and we all have to do it together for it to really work. You can't just do it piecemeal and hope that it's going to be successful. The way we're going to have success that we saw in Baltimore, that we saw in Seattle, that we've seen in Oakland, we've seen in Indianapolis, and cities and counties across the country that have implemented this programming, you have to actually do it. You can't piecemeal it. And we need your support to tell the St. Louis County Council that you want to see this investment. The county executive asked for 1.7 million to implement this programming. Again, if it's successful, it will actually save the county money. And it definitely in the long run, a lot of money. And it just needs that upfront investment to actually implement the full programming. Because right now it's 3 people trying to do this work across all of North County. And then making sure that we have that sustainability. And in that, if we have that investment and we do have that homicide rate go down and we do stop homicides, the program again pays for itself. And then we're also working on municipal partnerships. So we're out here tonight. I've met with Mayor Jones many times. We've met with Chief Doyle. We've met with police chiefs across the county. And we have not heard one person say they're not supportive of this type of programming and they want to see it. And we've had many times that there's been a shooting in a municipality, reaching out to the municipality saying, what do you need? How can we help you? So this is about partnership across the county, across the region to stop homicides. All right. Any questions?
Any questions? Councilman, Casal?
Yeah, so I want to start off by saying anything that is a cost-effective measure to reduce violence in our community is welcome. And but what I want to do, we need to know that it's effective. You said that in 2020, between 21 and 2025 in Seattle, the program was implemented and homicides dropped by 50%.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, during that period, did we have this program also in Los Angeles, Chicago, or Detroit?
There was this type of programming in Chicago. We did see that, and major cities did start standing up offices of violence prevention. So we did see it in other cities. I was showing you the numbers that are the most similar to our area.
Well, the reason I'm asking you that is that between 2021 in Los Angeles to 2025, homicides went from 402 down to 230. In Chicago, in 2025, they had the lowest number of homicides since 1965. And in Detroit, over that same period, they went from 308 to 165, which was the lowest in 60 years.
Right.
So there was something happening nationally at the same time as the period that you mentioned in Seattle. So what I would like to see, and I don't know if anybody's done it, is whether there's any sort of a formal academic study comparing a place where this was done, a similar place where it wasn't done, and determining whether this program actually made a difference or whether you were just in the right place at the right time.
So all of those cities you mentioned all opened up offices of violence prevention. In Chicago, one of the reasons Chief Tracy in St. Louis City is very supportive of this is that's the kind of programming they did start doing in Chicago. And Chief Tracy is part of the implementation team in this because he's done this work and he was working with the National Criminal Justice Reform Institute on this exact type of programming in Chicago when he was in Chicago. And in LA, Detroit, they all had offices of violence prevention. And one thing that happened, unfortunately, there was a lot of money federally for violence prevention. They had started an entire office of violence prevention, and that was shut down when the Trump administration came in and all of that funding was cut. We were going to go for these grants for violence prevention money, and it was pulled. And so now we have to find other ways to fund it. But a lot of offices at that time period, because on a federal level, they opened offices of violence prevention where they started saying, start implementing these programs in your city, we'll get you funding for it. They started doing that.
So again, is there a study that has comparable cities with and without these programs to show that it made a difference? I understand, you're telling me that LA, Chicago, Miami, and Detroit all had a stop violence program. So we can't compare.
I don't know if Miami did. I know Chicago did and I know LA did. I
So
don't know about Miami.
Miami went from 61 murders in 2020 to 27 in 2024.
I can get you those numbers, but what I did show you in those slides is Oakland put in this programming, violence went down, they pulled the funding for it, the council pulled the funding for it in Oakland, and violence shot straight back up. And they realized, oh no, we need to reverse course. They brought the programming back and shootings and homicides went down again. And I can send you over that data for sure.
But no A/B study out there. I mean,
Off the top of my head, I don't have you that answer,
Okay.
but I can get it to you.
if there is something like
Yeah.
that, because like, I'm in a study, every year I go get a COVID vaccine. And it's through a special program where they're studying whether the vaccine works. And a certain number of us get the vaccine and some people get the placebo. And it's a double blind test, which it obviously wouldn't be in this situation.
Right.
But they're comparing, did the people who got the vaccine get sick less often than the people who didn't?
Right.
And I'd like to see something like that.
I can get that over.
Somewhere there's a big city that didn't implement your program and we can compare over the same period. And I would think somebody would have done that.
I can get that over. Yeah,
Okay.
I can
My
talk to our
email's on the
director.
city website.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any, Councilman Palmer and then Councilman Williams.
I was curious, is there a way to go back to the slide, your line chart slide? I'm hoping I can see it on that screen.
No. Oh, now I can. Let's see here.
So does this, when I'm looking at St. Louis County, the light blue, is the number on the left, I'm having a hard time seeing, is that number of homicides in that given year? On the left, the
Yes,
and is that county-wide?
yes.
So, Ferguson, and that represents the entire population of St. Louis County, I'm assuming?
From my understanding.
So we're looking like around 70 to 80, 100, give or so, 50 homicides in a given year. Ferguson represents 2% of the population of St. Louis County. We've been averaging like 9 to 12 a year. So you're telling me 20% of homicides in St. Louis County or in part of the county has 2% of the population? Ferguson represents 2% of St. Louis County
So
population.
we look at our hotspot data and I don't know why my heat map is not in this slide. Where we're actually seeing the majority of homicides is up around unincorporated. So around Glasgow, Castle Point, and some other neighborhoods, but Ferguson is definitely impacted. And again, what we saw the other day was shootings and
But the blue line does include Ferguson homicide, not just unincorporated St. Louis.
From my understanding, but let me make sure and I'll get back to you on that. Let me make sure.
'Cause that's deeply concerning to me if we represent 2% of the county and we have 20% of their homicides.
Yeah, that would be concerning.
And if you look at the data, Ferguson historically for well over 100 years had less than one homicide per year. For about 10 years now, we're averaging about 10 per year.
Well, and that's why we want to implement this kind of programming across the county, right? And work with municipalities and work with everyone to make sure that we're bringing violence down. Now, one of those things, again, when we talk about this is it goes across municipalities, it goes across boundaries. It can be folks from St. Louis City committing crimes here or from St. Charles committing crimes here or St. Clair County. So that's why we have to implement this regionally and we all have to be doing it together to make sure we're bringing it down regional.
And Ferguson has not recognized a decrease in homicide like we're hearing elsewhere that could have been naturally without this programming. We've remained kind of steady for quite some time now. It seems like we haven't, I know there's been a national decrease in crime, not tied to this, but just generally speaking, last couple of years, but we haven't really realized that here.
I don't know Ferguson's exact numbers, to be fair.
Right.
But this is the kind of programming we could implement in Ferguson and try to bring in those homicides down.
Furthermore, 80% of our homicides are in a very small part of our town.
Right. Well, so that's part of what I was saying earlier. Like it's focused deterrence because we know where the people most likely to commit a shooting, most likely to be the victim of a shooting are, and it's focusing those efforts and making sure that we're reaching out to those folks to try to stop it before it happens.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Williams?
I can't negate what you're saying.
Mhm,
I think it will help. It takes a village.
mhm.
But I have to ask you a question. And you can guess, year to date, how many homicides in Chesterfield? Just
Not
take a
many.
guess.
Not many.
0. Chesterfield population is 49,000.
Mhm,
Ferguson is 18,000.
mhm.
So I'm trying to get to the root of the problem. How can a city twice as large as Ferguson have no homicides, but Ferguson has so many?
Well, I think part of it is resources, right? Part of it is there's historic issues. Part of it is resources. Part of it is people not getting the services they need, whether it's getting the mental health help they need, whether it's getting mediation that they need. There are a lot of issues. Now, I will say, I did just see an article today about Chesterfield is upset because they've had a bunch of shootings and gun crimes and car races. So that I saw today on the way here, actually. But obviously not on the level that we see in certain hot spots.
I can agree with that. But the main reason is opportunity.
Absolutely.
Resources is part of that.
Mhm.
But when you undereducate a certain segment of the population, you don't have job opportunities,
Mhm.
that leads to violence.
Right.
So I'm for this program, but I think you guys should partner with Urban League
We are.
to have the money to help individuals. But like I said, it takes a village.
Right.
And during public comments, Ms. Klein said something that kind of resonated with me. So I still feel like I'm an outsider in Ferguson. And so the thing here is, what high school did you go to?
Mhm.
I thought that was odd. Like, no, what university did you go to? What fraternity? So that, where did you go to high school is a loaded question. It's a social economic. So depending on where your high school was at, is a zip code you grew in, and you're judged by that. When she was saying for her chemistry lab, they barely had instruments. My high school, we had more than some colleges, beakers, Bunsen burners. We had all of that, but that's the lack of opportunity. And so if they don't have the equipment, that's the opportunity that's lacking for them to succeed.
Mhm.
So, I agree with the program, but bottom line, it's opportunities. If individuals don't have opportunities to feed their families, that's going to be violence. Now, I agree that you guys can talk some people off the ledge,
Mhm.
but eventually it's going to come back. So when you're in the street, if someone takes your drug money or takes your drugs, you can't exactly go to the police or file a civil suit. It's going to be violence. And the reason why it's violence, because if you don't stand up, they'll think that you're weak and they'll come back. But when you do that violence, you're killing someone's son, brother, they're coming back. So not to negate your program, I think it will work to talk some people off the ledge. But the bottom line is these individuals need opportunities, whether education, job opportunities, and so on. So I think your program, along with Urban League that has resources, can be beneficial, not just your program solo. Like I said, it takes a village.
I'm with you. We're saying the same thing. That's part of this programming, right? So if we're able to do this, then St. Louis County can actually put RFP out to work with folks like the Urban League, to work with folks like Employment Connection, to work with these kind of programmings to get people into those programs and get them that funding. Because part of the issue we're seeing right now is, and what we've heard from the county council, there's a massive misunderstanding saying this is already happening here. It's not. Employment Connection isn't contracted to do this work in St. Louis County right now, and everybody is strapped, right? Nonprofits, especially, because what we're seeing on a federal level, funding wise, they're at capacity. So we need that funding to be able to put RFP at and do exactly what you're talking about. Exactly what you're talking about, and getting those kind of resources and opportunities of folks to keep them out of violence.
One more, Councilman Franklin.
Could you give us a little detail about how you select individuals that you target in the program?
So what happens is there's a couple different methods, but part of it is there is data that we have knowing there's an entire, and it's fascinating, but webs of data of, okay, this group here, this might pop off over here, right? We know this is going on. There's a beef over here. Let's try to engage with these folks. Or if we have a situation where violence has happened, then we will engage those folks involved with that. But it's a lot of data processing, working with law enforcement, working with community groups, working with folks on the ground, and knowing who do we need to engage and approach. So there's multiple ways they're finding the people.
Okay, and so do you also target after a shooting occurs? You go after those
Yes.
individuals? Okay.
Yeah, so the one example I gave where there was a shooting between family members, and then they went out, engaged those family members because we knew most likely there was gonna be retaliation. And then one family member, they were ready to retaliate, and we were able to stop that, get them the grief counseling they need, and get them the resources they need to not wanna do that, and go into mediation with the rest of the family.
And can you do that across the county or only in unincorporated currently?
We can do it across the county, but right now it's two people. It's Tom Crease and Officer McCrary. And the reason we need the council to pass the funding is so that we can actually do that work, because it can't just fall on just those two people across the entire county.
Thank you, Danielle. We
Thank you.
appreciate you, and,
Yeah, and I have flyers for anyone with information if you're interested. And also, I just wanted to say, I've worked in government for a long time, and this was the most positive council meeting I have ever been to. And it was lovely.
where were you Monday?
I don't know, but this one was great.
All right, thank you,
Thank
Danielle.
you.
We appreciate it. All right. Thank you. Next person, Ferguson Youth Initiative, Adrian Shropshire, would you all come?
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I want to thank the city for giving us space. I've been with Ferguson Youth Initiative now for about 18 years. I was appointed a youth advisor, and then I just went into volunteer. And it's a good thing. And I want to thank the city for giving us the space downstairs in our drop-in program. It really works. The kids come in, the young adults come in, and it's their space. And it's been that way for years. Dwayne James started this program. And lady named Gail Babcock, if you remember her, she came in and was a director. And we've had quite a few directors, and now Aaron Harris is the director of our program. But I do want to just give thanks to the city for caring about our youth. This evening, I have one of our youth to come in and speak on the Ferguson Youth Initiative and her journey. And I want to introduce Amelia Turner.
Okay, Ms. Turner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amelia Turner, as he just said. I've been going to FYI.
Just speak up just a little.
Okay. I've been going to FYI drop-in specifically since my freshman year, and I'm a senior now. I'll be graduating in May. During my time at FYI, I've attended ACT prep, job clinics. I actually got a couple jobs off of that also. I've attended slams, which is, it's like you can perform, you can do poetry, you can sing, you can show your artwork, just things like that to, just bring the teens in. I have attended so much more fundraisers and just so much with FYI. It's given me such a chance to just experience and, learn new things there. I am also the youth president of the Ferguson Youth Advisory Board, so that just helps bring in FYI and everything like that. FYI has helped me in so many ways, and the support that has been there. I'm close to obtaining my pilot's license, and I also did the Red Tail Cadet program. I sang at the MMEA, which is in Lake of Ozarks. We were invited, so that was the first time in 60 years that someone from St. Louis has sang there. So that was really, really fun. And honestly, now by this time, I am just helping bring teens in, and by the end of this year, I want to make sure that I have maybe at least 20 more teens coming for drop-in for these tutoring classes, for ACT prep, all of these opportunities that I was given my high school career. I want to make sure that everyone else can have that. So that's what I'm asking you guys for. This will be asking for funding. This will be asking for, even if you don't want to give money, just support. Bring teens in, come drop in. We're downstairs every Friday from 3 to 6. Just come in, show your support, meet some of the teens, just help out in that way. You can also come to some of our events. We'll have an event February 21st. That will be our FYI fundraiser, and you can find the tickets for that on our social media, FYI Ferg Youth. Just when you get the chance, just come in and support, because we really need to bring these teens in and, just show them that they don't have to be on the street so much. Show them that there's places for them to go. We provide food for the drop-in every Friday. Food, you can play games. We can watch TV. We go to the community center twice a month. Community center and the YMCA. It just it gives teens the chance to just not be on the streets. It's just a safe place to be. So.
Any questions? Councilwoman Covington.
What event did you say you have on February 21st?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Our FYI fundraiser. It'll be at the Ferguson Community Center, actually. And you can get the tickets. You can find the link for them in our bio on our Instagram, FYI Ferg Youth. I can also write it down later on if you need me to for that one.
How many young women are getting ready to get their pilot's license? I know go ahead.
In the program that I was in, it was 6 of us, and it was actually an all-girls cohort this year. So that was amazing. 6 of us from the Ferguson Florissant School District.
Councilman Williams.
That's great. You're doing some excellent things, and I'm glad the program is giving young people opportunities. But one thing during your speech, you said you had some job opportunities, so you're foregoing college?
Yes.
Why would you do that? You got a bright future.
Well, the job opportunities, when I did the job clinic, I believe this this was my junior year, so last year. When I did the job clinic, I just needed a job, maybe for weekends or after school on some days to get some money on, some extra money. But my plan is still to go to college, to go to college for pre-med, this upcoming fall.
All right, that, I think you accomplished that goal, but I just want you to explore scholarships. Because when you enter the real world and you have to work and pay bills, you might get married, that college dream might be put on the burner.
No, it
But-
won't.
But if you start early, you can finish, because you gotta go to residency and a lot of other stuff. But I just want you to explore, like they have FAFSA and grants and stuff for you to go to school. So I don't want you to overlook those options. Explore all of your options before you forego the workforce. But I think you have a bright future ahead of you. And if individuals are in the program like you guys are doing a great job, Adrian. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Williams, Franklin.
I just wanted to commend you and the program in general. And then I just want to speak to my colleagues. We talk about crime prevention. One of the ways we prevent crime is getting to our youth. So we need to seriously consider funding the program, because the more money, the more resources we pour into the youth, the more we can reach in our community. I believe the most recent shooting over on West Florissant, Canfield area, there was a 17-year-old suspect. 5 years ago, he was 12. He was a boy. You know, this program could have impacted his life in a positive way. So we need to start pouring into the youth as well in the Ferguson community and trying to give them other choices and options than the street. And because a lot of them come from poverty and a lot of them come from one-parent households. And I was riding home with my daughters today, and my 8-year-old shocked me because she knows who King Von is or was. And so it's like there's a culture outside of what's at home that we have to deal with. And the streets have been glorified, you know, and so a lot of kids find it attractive. So I just want to, urge us when we get to budget season, we need to throw some funds, some real money at the Ferguson Youth Initiative, and keep doing what you're doing. When I was 18, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I met a pretty girl. She said she was going pre-med. I said, I will too. That's how I got to school. That's as simple as it was for me, but you live and you learn. So keep doing your thing.
Councilwoman Nord and Councilman.
I knew I'd come after that, but no.
Castle.
Really, thank you, Mr. Shropshire, for supporting FYI. I have been to some of the events. I totally agree. We do need to support our youth initiative better. I remember a few years ago, FYI was trying to get a transportation van. And like Councilman Franklin was saying, I mean, we have to show our youth there's another world out there. Youth that are not normally exposed to the outside world, of what they're accustomed to seeing every day. And there are a lot of single parent homes. There are a lot of youth who, don't have parents at all. There are some youth who have both parents in the house, but they still need that extra push. They still need those role models. I mean, so I do believe we do need to see how we can better support our youth financially. And I'm still advocating for that transportation van. I don't think FYI has a transportation van, or what was it that they could use the Jolly Trolley? Is that what we came up with, the solution? Okay, well, I mean, and that's okay too. That's okay too, as long as they have access when they need it. But you said that the event on the 21st is going to be at the community center. I thought it was at an event space in
Yeah,
St. Louis City
No.
on Washington.
Oh, that's my mistake. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
I-
With the correct information, I promise.
It's on the web. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I follow you all and share. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified. Thank you, young lady.
Okay. Councilman Castle.
I had a couple of questions for Mr. Shropshire. I agree. It's a delight to see a program that's making a difference in the lives of children, and I'm excited that the city can be a part of that by providing that space. As far as the money goes, though, in the last so FYI, FNIP has a volunteer executive director. Some of the bigger organizations like the Urban League do have paid people running the program, but a lot of these smaller programs don't. For the last 4 years of FYI, 3/4 of the money you raised went to paying the executive director. And I'm wondering whether it would be feasible to maybe get a larger group of retired people like yourself and redirect that money into the programs for the kids. The worst year was in 2020. They raised $60,600, and of that, less than $8,000 was spent on the actual programs for the kids. All the rest of it went to the salary for the director. I'm sure he does a lot of work, but could they maybe move over to a volunteer model like so many other groups do?
Personally, I really don't think a volunteer group would do, because number one, Aaron Harris, he writes the grants, he communicates with the colleges, he goes out into all the nonprofits, he works with Dress with Success, he works with all the different companies and nonprofits to bring in. It's a full-time job being a director. Every day he's out in the field trying to get funds, because right now our grants have been really limited because of the government. So we're always asking for volunteers to come in and help us. And I'm glad you brought that up, because right now we started a tutoring program. And mathematics, you're good at math, whole numbers, core math. We need volunteers. And with the Urban League, we partner with the Urban League and with Sin Relief, St. Louis Ministries. Each location, at First Baptist, they have a location for tutoring, and at the Urban League, we have a location there. And which we do, we have the youth come in from the Salvation Army, from the Spark program. They come down to our tutoring. And let me say one thing, our youth have been left behind. I'm speaking from experience now. When you have third graders that can't add and subtract, divide, and don't know fractions, we need your help. We need everybody's help across.
I'm the worst teacher in the world. So
you can always help. You can always volunteer. That's all I'm asking, because I'm doing it. I don't know core math, but let me tell you, I'm good at whole numbers, fractions, dividing, and everything to get them to that point. But I really feel that Aaron Harris does earn his keep, because he's there full time. He's there all the time. And he works with a lot of different industries, with Budweiser. He works with Energizer. He works with Mercy Hospital. He works with all the places to try to get our youth employed. So we're asking for volunteers. And if anybody wants to come in, we will welcome them. Wednesday at from 4 to 7, Spark, a group of 13 kids or 15 kids come down, and at 5 o'clock. And we need volunteers that come in and really take our youth serious and teach them. We will have tutoring going on till school's out. That's the way it goes, school's out. So I welcome you, Councilman Kazoff. Come on down.
Councilwoman Covington, then Councilman Franklin, then Councilman Williams, and we move on. But just before we move on, when Dwayne James started FYI, we almost won the award from the Missouri Municipal League. And the reason why we didn't get the award, we didn't have a consistent director over the program. And that's how we didn't get the award from the Missouri Municipal League. And from then, Dwayne sought to get a full-time executive person, along with the board members who work with Aaron to make certain that the programs stay on track. I just want to share that history. Okay. Councilwoman,
Okay, so you did say on Wednesdays, what grade level stuff? What grade levels are you inviting from
Yeah,
first grade to a senior?
we have them from first, second, third, fourth, fifth graders. We have a lot of third and fourth graders that need urgent help. I'm serious. It breaks my heart to see young people at that age that really have a deficit in math and reading. Councilman Franklin has been down, and the minute he came in, he found a young lady to work with long as she was there. So yes, it's from third grade all the way up to the fifth grade that we have there in our building.
And do they have to register to come, or is this just show up?
They call the Urban League, and we have kids coming from Cross Keys Elementary, Ferguson Middle, or not Ferguson Middle, but the Ferguson,
The sixth grade center?
yeah.
But
We have them coming from the elementary school from Ferguson and from all around. Matter of fact, he has a list of 50 kids that signed up for.
So you don't know how many will come this week, Wednesday, next Wednesday?
Yeah, I tell you, we have 20 kids coming every Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 20 kids coming every Wednesday. We definitely have 15 coming from the Salvation Army upstairs from their program down, and then we have walk-ins that come in. So it's 20 every Wednesday that we have in there.
Franklin Williams.
So since my colleague mentioned FNIP, I just wanted to clear up the narrative about compensation. So, up until 2024, Rachel St. Pierre was the FNIP director. At least that's what it said on the emails I received when I applied. And she was a paid employee, which means she had a salary, benefits from the city. I believe Larry took over and they hired an employee to process their applications who's being compensated. So I don't think anybody is, working for free. I think what Aaron is doing is essential, and a budget of 60,000 versus the 600,000 we gave them back of ARPA funds, which could have been also used to give them a larger share at that time. But I think if we make a more of a capital investment as a council, we'll get more results from that program and maybe attract other individuals to help Aaron in that process of, and as far as the tutoring, it's for the rest of the school year as well. So this is a commitment to the end of the school year going up to May. And these are our children, 98% African-American, and they need help. So, we talk about it, we got to be about it as well. So I definitely urge those of you, get involved. It's basic mathematics, social studies, some English, but our children need our help because the alternative,
We just saw a girl.
Councilman Williams.
I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't say this. So I'm actually on the Ferguson Youth Initiative. Not board, but that's what I was assigned to. And this is no knock at you. I think the program is doing great. I do think some of that salary should go to the kids. Not negating what he's doing. It's probably a full-time job. So when I first got elected to council, my email wasn't working. So I wasn't able to reach out to Aaron. When that email started working, I said, here's my personal email, my personal cell phone number. Did not contact me. He ghosted me. Then I went to a Forestwood meeting. It's a young lady who's second in command. I said, hey, I got some programs. I want to work with these kids. I can tutor. Gave him my personal cell phone number and my email. No contact. So you're saying these people need help, but the two people at the top ghosted me. And the reason why they did that, they use it as a political weapon because we might not have the same ideology. And so instead of thinking of the kids, they were thinking of themselves. And I will be doing myself an injustice if I don't say what happened. So, I mean, you guys want volunteers. There's no knock on you. I think you're doing a great job. But when you have people at the top that are blocking individuals qualified and ready to tutor these kids for free, but they're using it as a political weapon, is not good. No knock on you, but I have to say that. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
I just want to say, and we coming to a close, back in 2015, when the recast grant, well, we got $4.5 million we wrote that grant, remember, in that room over there. And FYI got a good portion of that grant because of the work that we did here in Ferguson to get that $4.5 million. St. Louis County took the grant over, but it was written right in that room. And we made certain that FYI got a percentage of that grant. That's all I got. Moving right along. Thank you. We move to our public comments. Do we have anyone sign up for for the public hearing for the daycare at 930 North Elizabeth?
Yes, Adrian Shropshire.
Adrian, for the public hearing? Anyone else?
Mildred Klein and Erica Brooks.
For the public hearing for the daycare at 930 Elizabeth. You sign up for it to speak?
Yes,
Go
yes, I
ahead.
did. Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I knew about this daycare some months ago, way back in the summertime, before summer. And it was some problems with the amount of daycares in one ward and amount here and amount there. But I gave her encouragement to stick with it because I figured something would happen to bless her to get her program going. So then all of a sudden there's a few that didn't have license and some that don't do anymore in our ward. And it worked out for her. We always gave her encouragement. And I think in planning and zoning, we wanted this to go through, but the problem is, much as we want things to go, we got ordinances. And sometimes the ordinances don't work in the applicant's favor because of already populated areas. But now this time, I want to encourage the council to move forward with her special use permit and her business license and her occupancy permit, because I feel she would be a good asset to our community and to help. Number one, I've always been a stickler with daycares because our employment, to be able to work, some moms need daycare. So I urge you to give her her special use permit, and I appreciate it immensely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shropshire. Who's next?
Mildred Klein.
Mrs. Klein.
Mildred Klein, 7444 Castro. So the young lady that was up here about her daycare, I listened to her and I was like, thank you for doing your due diligence, because I know the last meeting we was here, you all were talking about how many daycares they had in a certain ward and all of that. And she went and did her homework and she found out there's only one. And I was like, okay, so it's really not even an issue. She should only get her permit now. But I'm wondering, you all had so many daycares on record for Ward 1. Do you all keep up with them? Because I know my neighbor shut a daycare years ago, but she don't have it anymore. Do you all not know that she no longer has a daycare? If someone else wanted to open one on our block, would they be able to? Do they have to like every year register? How do you all keep up with who goes in business and who comes out of business? But I'm like, we're changing, we look at these ordinances and we need to review them, because sometimes like Adrian Shropshire said, sometimes these ordinances do not work in our businesses or whomever's in their behavior, on their benefit. But sometimes these ordinances does not work for our community. So we need to know what our community needs and make our adjustments. I don't think we need to go and rewrite something totally new. We need to look at what we have on the books and adjust it from there. So I'm now that she, like I said, now that she went and did the homework and found out it's only one daycare in Ward 1 where she is. I don't understand. I mean, I'm sure now that you all are going to approve it, but do we actually really need to go through a special use permit since, it's only one? All right, that's all. Thank you.
Clerk, Roberts, we have anyone else?
Erica Brooks.
Miss Brooks?
Good evening, Erica M. Brooks, 462 Mueller. I'm a member of the Planning and Zoning Board, and I just want to say that I fully support her because, like everybody said, she's gone through the process of doing everything it takes to be qualified, certified, and she also had people waiting on a list to be able to go right into her business. Like she said, that's her livelihood. What she's been doing for years, she just want to pursue it now in Ferguson. And it doesn't make sense, over the years, being here at city council meetings, and a lot of African-American businesses go through all kind of hoops and everything else, go through the process of getting qualified, but not going through the procedure according to the staff of Ferguson, taking them through the proper channels to be able to say, hey, I've checked this off, done this, and now I can fully go off into a business with, like Ms. Klein said, about not having to go through some special, but just getting an occupancy permit to do a business, and so it's at this point right about now, like I said, I really support her. And you all talking about the Ferguson Youth Initiative right about now, you have a person that she's fully qualified in order to steer our youth and our children in a direction to where they can be leaders in our community, like right now. And have some people that are qualified to the point where you have to worry about if they have some personal issues where they're like, not safe. She's gonna have a business that's gonna provide safety and a safe haven and an educational institution for our kids. So I would just truly appreciate if y'all just go, through this process that needs to be gone through and give her occupancy permit and not a special use, because it's not nothing special. It's an educational institution and also a safe haven. So please give her an occupancy permit so she can have her daycare in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kleins. Clerk Roberts, we have anyone else? Okay, I see it. Let's start with the city manager first.
Yeah, we've been working with her for quite a while on this. And Dave can go into a little bit more on why SUP and all that. So Dave.
I just want to provide some clarity because there's been a lot of misinformation out there, but actually per our zoning, every in-home daycare requires a special use permit. It doesn't matter the number, it doesn't matter anything. If there's gonna be an in-home daycare, it requires an SUP. And part of that is the public hearing. And the main reason for that is so neighbors around there are notified about this potentially opening up and they can speak about whether they want it in their neighborhood or not. So it's not a cut and dry number that it has to go through the SUP. Every in-home daycare has to have an SUP. Same thing when it comes to normal childcare, commercial. Depending on the district, they may not be permitted by rights. They're going to need an SUP because it's a childcare facility. So it's not just because of the location. It's not just because of the numbers. It's a public hearing for the residents to speak out about where that is going to be placed so that they can have feedback for their neighborhood. That's the main reason for that. So I just wanted to outline this whole thing as to why it's taking this time. I'm not going to deny that some steps were different and there were miscounts and that stuff from previous staff that were here. We've corrected those things. We have different department heads in place and we're trying to move in the right direction and get those things corrected with policy and that type of thing. But when it comes to specifically daycares in home or commercial, this is always required no matter. So just for.
Okay, I'm gonna start with Councilwoman Noah, then Councilman Covington, if you have anything, Councilman Cassoff, Councilman Franklin, Councilman Palmer, and Councilman Williams.
All right.
I saw y'all hands up.
Thank
Okay,
you, Mayor. At first, I want to thank city staff because we finally got this cleaned up because really this has taken so long and everyone on this council, city staff knows that I have sent numerous emails about this. I apologize to the applicant because it really shouldn't have taken this long, I was gonna bring this up as unfinished business, this issue again in this council meeting, like I did in the last council meeting. I appreciate that there is a bill on the agenda. And if a special use permit is required, I think it will be approved by council. I think the votes are there, the support is there. But it just really shouldn't have taken this long. It really shouldn't have, especially when there were emails sent and sent and sent. And I do appreciate that Councilman Kassoff has initiated this bill. However, when we had the discussion online, it was always, it's not going to be approved, it's not going to be approved, it's not going to be approved, because we needed to have an amendment to our ordinance in place for the residential daycare ordinance that we have now. But again, I'm just glad that we are finally here. And hopefully moving forward, these issues won't take this long. People shouldn't have to wait, and they shouldn't have to go through all of this. And I shouldn't have to send email after email, or make a motion in a council meeting to get attention on these matters. But again, I appreciate staff. Thank you. And thank you, council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Covington. We don't get finished. I'll bring her up.
Okay, all right, so my first question is about the hours. What are her hours gonna be? Also, I want to make it clear that she is on the corner of Elizabeth and Plantmore. So my question is, you are saying you have 10 kids. Your driveway is on Elizabeth, so you'll be using parking on Plantmore. Okay. Also, I was reading through the paperwork, and for the square footage, it is said that you're allowed 9. On your application, you are saying that you have 10 children in the home. And I get having one extra kid is not a big thing, but we always try to fix our mistake after we make a mistake. So I want to point out that on here it says your max is 9, and you saying you're gonna have 10 kids. My next question is, on here also you said there will be a gated fence for the kiddos' safety. I would like to know, has the gate been put up yet, or was it just reworked? I mean, if that was just if the gate is already up. And I think that is all my questions.
Okay. Councilman Kassoff.
Did you want her to answer those questions first, or are we gonna
Mayor,
go down the line?
Would you come up, please?
She gonna have a lot to remember if we all look on our mouths, that's all.
Yes, I guess I'll go backwards. The gate has been put up. I always had a gate around the backyard. There just was not a fenced in gate across the front of the backyard. So when I became in the process of becoming state licensed, that was one of the requirements. So I did get that fence put up on the front of the yard so that for the kids' safety. So it is up. I'm sorry, the other question?
And then the next part, you are on the corner of Elizabeth and Plantmore.
Correct.
Okay, and your driveway comes out on Elizabeth.
Yes,
So most likely parking is gonna be on Plantmore.
on Plantmore. I have a walkway to the back of my facility
Okay,
where the parents would come through that way.
so they'll be using the back entrance to
Yes.
come in?
Yes.
Okay. And my next one was, what are your hours?
My hours is from 6:30 in the morning to, well, I'm actually licensed till 9, but I will be closing at 6:30.
6:30 to 6:30?
Yes.
Okay, and then the other part is not, I guess that would be for city.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm gonna put on record 6:30 to 9 PM,
Okay.
but I actually, close the
You're not trying
center.
to stay up that late.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, what's that?
No, the next one I guess would be for the city manager, because in the paperwork, it says she's allowed up to 9. And everything that she has, she's saying 10.
And that's kind of up to you guys how you want to word the SUP. So the square footage by paperwork does say up to 9. You can issue an SUP with any stipulation you want to as a council. So you could say stipulation up to 9, or you can say 10, but the square footage should be 9. You are correct.
Okay.
So the ordinance is based on the square footage of the lot. And at this moment, her lot is 9,120 square feet. And if you're under 10,000, they start dropping it down, which is why why this paperwork from the city says 9. That's what the ordinance says. Now, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, regarding why this took so long. Staff who are no longer with us were not doing the annual renewals of the license. And there were daycares that hadn't existed in years that were still on the books. So at the time you applied, we can only go by what staff tells us, because we don't go out to all these houses and see who's in it, right? So, but ultimately that's what the city had to do. They actually had to send city staff out to every one of these alleged daycares, and came to find out 7 of the 8 didn't exist. So you were good. But that was something that city staff had to do. And going forward, I'm certain they're going to have an annual renewal process to make sure that things don't fall through the cracks like that again. The other thing that I'm doing in answer to Ms. Klein's comments earlier is we have a piece of legislation that will be coming soon that's actually going to create more daycare opportunities, more opportunities for people to do what she's doing, but at the same time prevent some bad situations that we already had with the old system. Because in the old system, you could have, there's some neighborhoods that they just had to be 1,000 feet apart, right? So there's some neighborhoods that you could put 4 daycares 1,000 feet apart and put them all in one neighborhood. And then number one, the people in that neighborhood are going to have a lot of traffic from all those daycares. And number two, it locked out the entire ward, because you've already used up all 4 of them for the ward. So you could have 4 people over in Ferguson Hills with a daycare, and this lady clear over here on Elizabeth, but they're in the same ward. That didn't make any sense to me. So I've drafted a piece of legislation, and the lawyers are working on it, and it's got to go through planning and zoning. But what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate the ward restriction, because our wards are so large, and it doesn't have any impact that somebody in Ward 1, Jeske Park has a daycare and somebody way over by Home Depot's got one. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to increase the distance between them as you get a larger number. So if there's 2 daycares, they've got to be 1,000 feet apart. But if you, the 3rd person coming in, it's got to be 1,500 feet. And if you're the 4th daycare in that same area, it goes up to 2,000 feet. That way, you don't end up with 3 daycares within a few blocks of your house. But at the same time, we're going to have more opportunities for people that want to do home daycares that won't have an impact on their neighborhood. So I've drafted that bill. It's a little complicated because we actually have to make 4 of them for all the different residential zoning areas, because it's not in one place in our code. But we are going to get that out here within hopefully the next month, and that will open up some additional opportunities. Now, back when we thought we had 8 in Ward 1, none of those 8 were within 2,000 feet of her house. So when we thought we really had 8, but they were over by Hall's Ferry, or they were over, off of West Florissant in the area that's Ward 1. I said it didn't make any sense for this lady not to be able to have a daycare on North Elizabeth just because somebody in Nesbit Newton got a daycare, right? So that's why I started with this legislation. But I am gonna continue moving forward because the time's gonna come where we're gonna have the exact same situation again. And I don't want to unnecessarily lock somebody out when it's gonna be good for the community and not have a negative impact on the neighborhood. So look for that to be coming soon.
Thank you. Councilman Franklin.
So I just wanted to thank city staff for providing clarity about special use permits as it relates to childcare facilities. I'll say I was unaware that all needed, because of what we were informed at planning and zoning, it was about 2,500 square feet for this C1 zone, and you can't have more than 4. But let me get some additional clarity, because the way I read, because I actually went and read the ordinance just to kind of get, familiar with it. If the way the ordinance stands now, if we had, say, 5 daycares in Ward 1, we wouldn't even be able to allow the applicant to even do a special use, correct? Okay. And so I think it's important that the city on our website, and we market it, when people come into our city to do business, they need to know, hey, if I want to open up this type of business, it's going to require special use no matter what. Because not every municipality has those restrictions. St. Louis County, they don't have those same restrictions, but it's good for people to know what they're getting into before they go in here and think, okay, this is just an administrative process, and start renovating these spaces, signing leases, and then they find out, well, wait a minute, you can't even go there because of the ordinance. And so I'm glad we got that clarity tonight, and I would like to see it marketed to the community. Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say, one of the first steps that we have in the portal currently with the current staff is what's called an idea. And basically you get in the portal, you fill out an idea, any business. So you want to put a beauty salon, daycare, whatever it is, you fill out an idea, it goes straight to planning and zoning. They immediately review the zoning to see if it's a permitted use or if it's gonna require special use or all those things. And that's before you do anything. So as soon as you want to open a business, that's the first step you're gonna see when you go through everything right now. So that's something we've changed recently and kind of implementing to kind of hopefully alleviate some of these headaches.
Councilman Williams.
So you're licensed, correct?
State license, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Office of Childhood. So the number of students goes by the bathrooms and square footage. On your license, what's the occupancy for children?
10.
So we should go with 10. I know we have 9, but if our state license says 10, we should go with 10. I don't know how we need to change that.
Okay, Councilman Palmer.
I just wanted to give you a piece of advice, should your application for special use be approved. You'll want to start applying again in 5.5 years, because special use permits of this nature expire automatically after 6 years. So it's just something to keep in mind, so you don't have to possibly suffer a closure of business, waiting on a process again. So all special use permits expire after 6 years, no matter what, but you're also able to reapply again. Another thing I wanted to mention to staff was you might want to check with the folks internally who are publishing the public hearings and such. I personally did not receive notice per our ordinances, and I do own property within 185 feet of this proposed location. And I am the owner of record and the mailing address is correct, and I did not receive notice. So it could be a mail error. It wouldn't be the first time, but just maybe brush up on that as well. Because maybe the adjacent neighbors didn't also receive notice. Obviously I did because I got the agenda and I know what's going on, but that's all.
I know they went out, we put it in the county and I took them to the post office. So I know it was mailed, but again.
Right.
Promise.
Sure. Thank you.
Anything else you would
my
like
buddy.
to add?
The tenant, he's my buddy. I like him. I'm sorry.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, other than I don't mind being the sacrificial lamb to get all of this straightened out. I think had I not came forth, it would have been a while before this had gotten straightened out. So I'm a patient person and I didn't mind the wait.
Thank you. The public hearing on the daycare on 930 North Elizabeth is closed. We move to our consent agenda. The city council meetings for regular council meeting minutes on January 2026. The special council meeting minutes on January 29, 2026. I request a motion and second to approve the
Mayor.
meeting minutes.
Mayor,
Yes.
there's a correction needed, so he made a motion already, so I was going
If you
to,
give,
Motion, go ahead.
no, you don't have to withdraw the motion. It's been motion and second, we call for the questions and the corrections now.
okay, thank you. I move to amend the regular meeting minutes dated 1/20/2026. There's a correction needed under Council Noah's miscellaneous portion. Bullet 3 should read 5216 or 5316 LC, ELSIE, not LC.
Okay, we have corrections. The motion is on the floor to accept the meeting minutes with the necessary correction.
So
Is-
moved.
Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Naquita Noah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. The meetings are approved with the necessary correction. We move to boards and commission. I request a motion and a second to receive and file the minutes of the CRB meeting on January the 5th, 2026.
So moved. Second.
Are any questions? Corrections? All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes will be filed. We move to our appointments. We have several appointments this evening. We have Park Board. We have 2 applications. Tessa Grumman, I might have butchered your name, and Taylor Robbins. This is approval by the council.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. We move to Ferguson Special Business District. We have Hope Breedlove. Request a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second, Naquita Noah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. We have Economic Development Sales Tax. Thank you, Dave, for getting all of this together. Anthony Chance is the CFO for the Ferguson Florissant School District. Terry O'Neill had to resign, and Dr. Fields sent Anthony Chance. I am appointing Anthony Chance to the Economic Development Sales Tax Board with the approval of the council.
So moved.
Second, Lamika Covington.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have Jan Orlando for HR. That is appointment made solely by the mayor. I am appointing Jan Orlando to Human Rights Commission. We don't have any requests tonight. We have a proclamation tonight for Black History. I will not read it in its entirety. It's 8:45. Okay, and it reads, whereas Black History Month serves as both a celebration and a powerful reminder that Black history is American history. Black culture is American culture, and Black stories are interwoven in the fabric of our nation through shared struggles, progress, and aspiration. Whereas historian Carter G. Woodson established Black History Week in 1926, it is 100 years old now, to recognize the significant contributions of African Americans, selecting the second week of February to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. And in 1976, the observance were formally expanded to Congress to National Black History Month. Now therefore, I, Ella Jones, the mayor of the city of Ferguson, along with the city council and a citizen of Ferguson, we do hereby recognize the month of February 2026 as Black History Month and calls upon the people of Ferguson to observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and reflections, and to continue our shared efforts to create a community that is more just, equitable, and prosperous for all. Our next item on the agenda is resolution. We have resolution number 2026-01, the Revive Program. Without objection, we're introduced by council members present. Hear none? Attorney Ryan, please read the resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the city of Ferguson requesting the council to an improvement program, Revive Program, that is to be funded by the Economic Development Sales Tax as recommended by the city's Economic Development Sales Tax Commission.
City manager.
I'll refer to Dave. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This is a program that was started up probably 6 to 7 months ago now, right around the budget time. Finally got everything together to bring in front of you. Basically, it's a program to help with facade improvements to our businesses that reside within the EDST zones.
I'm requesting a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Are any questions?
I just want to point out that we are supposed to have named sponsors on these bills. Our own ordinances require it. And
It's introduced by council members present.
we passed an ordinance to specifically stop doing that. I'm perfectly happy to let this proceed, but we were supposed to stop that practice based on an ordinance we passed last year.
Who wants to sponsor this bill?
I'll sponsor it.
Council member present. All of them sponsoring the bill. Okay,
Madam Mayor, the point is that the way something gets on the agenda of council is that a member of council sponsors it. So when we don't have a named sponsor on a piece of legislation, nobody that looks at this agenda knows who put it there.
I
And
do understand,
that's,
And we do have someone that just sponsored, Councilwoman North.
well, we all did, but, and
Yeah.
I understand. And if we had done that before, it would have been perfectly acceptable. It's transparency. Anyway, let's proceed. And move in a second.
Clerk Roberts, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Cassoff,
Aye.
Councilman Franklin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Williams,
Aye.
Resolution number 2026. Okay, resolution number 2026-01 passes. Bills requiring the first reading. Without objection, we'll introduce the bill by anyone who would like to sponsor it. Councilman Franklin would like to sponsor. You getting all this, Clerk Roberts?
yes.
Councilman Cassoff?
No, thank you.
Anyone else would like to sponsor this bill? All right, Attorney Ryan, could you read the bill by the title only?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance authorizing the city manager of the city of Ferguson, Missouri to enter into and execute an agreement regarding the transfer of city-owned property to the adjacent owner, New Jerusalem Church.
City manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. We've been working on this one for a little while with New Jerusalem Church. There are 2 properties adjacent to them that they were wanting to get through the side lot program. They have paid for the surveys. Everything's in line. We're just trying to get the deal done for them at this point. This started before Rachel was even here,
I know.
so when Alan is here.
We have institutional knowledge.
Yes.
I know, I do understand. Okay, bill number 7332, the special use permit for bill number for the special use permit for 930 North Elizabeth. Without objection, we'll introduce the bill by Councilman Cassoff. Are there anyone else that would like to sponsor this bill? Councilman Franklin? Any? Councilwoman Noor? Anyone else?
Williams.
Councilmember Williams? Here we go. Attorney Ryan, could you please read the bill by the title only?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit for 930 North Elizabeth Avenue for the purpose of a family daycare home, subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
There's no question. It's only to be read,
I have a procedural question.
and that is,
According to the ordinance, if there's no objection at a public hearing, we're permitted to vote on a special use permit at the same meeting that the public hearing was held. That won't be happening if we do a first and second reading, and I'm just curious why we're doing that.
Well, let's vote.
Well,
did this go to Ryan and Apollo? Did they?
Yes, it did. We drafted the ordinance, Mayor. So the reason, I would presume I would pass this to the parliamentarian, but the reason it's being a first and second reading is because it's an ordinance as opposed to a resolution.
Say what?
I mean, that explanation makes sense to me. I defer to the attorney.
Yeah, it is not a resolution, it's a bill. Right, and all special use permits fall under the bill, is that not correct?
Historically, that's how we've done it.
Yeah. So we just reading it for the first time.
That's the way we done it.
Okay,
So as you heard, we just had a hearing on it. Nothing really to talk about unless anybody has questions. No, that's.
okay, we moved bills requiring a second reading. No, we still on the bills for first reading. Bill number 7333, amending the zone code and map to change the existing zoning for 16 North Dade. Without objection, we'll introduce this bill. We need someone to sponsor this bill.
I'll sponsor it.
Councilman Kassoff? Anyone else? Councilwoman North? Attorney Ryan, could you please read the bill by the title?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, amending the zoning code and map to change the existing zoning of certain property from R1D Single Family Residence District to C1 General Commercial District.
City Manager? Assistant City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This is another instance where we're paying from sins from our past. This was actually on your agenda in January of 25. The public hearing was done, everything else was done. However, nothing was brought to council to vote on this rezoning, so it wasn't done properly. So we're bringing it back in front of you to do it the correct way. That's why we have it in front of you tonight to vote for the first reading. You'll vote on it at the next meeting. And then we're actually going to follow up with a special use permit for this daycare as well. But we have to have a public hearing for that special use permit because it did not occur in the January meeting in 25. So we need to advertise that. We didn't have enough notice to advertise for that hearing for tonight's meeting. So it'll be at your next meeting for first reading, and we'll go down that road as well. So it'll be a threefold process.
Councilman Williams?
This is not that auto shop, is it?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is
Okay.
on date.
All right, we move to bills requiring second reading. Bill number 7325, amending the zoning code and map of the order body shop on Charlotte. I request a motion in a second to place bill number 7332 upon its passage.
7325, you mean?
7325. A motion in a second.
So move, Naquita Noah.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second, David Williams. Not the auto body shop, correct?
This is the auto body shop.
Oh, I was saying that. 7325.
Bill number 7325 is the auto body shop on Charlotte.
No, thank you.
Can't be reset. Process.
Is there a second? Is there a second? The bill dies on the floor. We move on. It died on the floor. It didn't get a second. So let's move to bill number 7328. I request a motion in a second to read. I request a motion in a second to place bill number 7328 upon its passage.
So moved.
Second, Naquita Noah.
Attorney Ryan, could you please read the bill by the title?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Ferguson, Missouri to execute the deed and acknowledge other documents in order for the real properties to be transferred to the city for city development and or beautification.
City manager,
Yes, Mayor, this is the three properties I've posted.
Clerk Roberts, please call roll.
Councilman Cassoff,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilman Franklin,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Williams,
Aye.
Bill number 7328 passes. We move to bill number 7329. I request a motion in a second to place bill number 7029 upon passage.
So moved.
Second, Naquita Noah.
Attorney Ryan, could you please read the bill?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, authorizing an improvement program, the disaster recovery program, that is to be funded by the Economic Development Sales Tax as recommended by the city's Economic Development Sales Tax Commission.
City manager,
I'm gonna refer to Dave on this. He worked on this.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This is the disaster recovery program that came from EDST. There were some typos in it previously, so those were corrected, but everything's good to go now. It's ready.
Clerk Roberts, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Cassoff,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah. Aye. Councilwoman Covington,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilman Franklin, Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Williams,
Aye.
Bill number 7329 passes. We move to bill number 7330. I request a motion in a second to place bill number 7330 upon its passage.
So moved.
It has been properly moved and second. Attorney Ryan, could you please read the bill?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, authorizing an improvement program, the Roofs to Roots program, that is to be funded by the Economic Development Sales Tax as recommended by the city's Economic Development Sales Tax Commission.
City manager,
Yes, I'm gonna refer to Dave again on this because he was.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This is the program to liquefy some of the city-owned properties and get those into redevelopment, moving forward. If there's questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Clerk Roberts, will you have a question?
Yes. Is there a list of properties that will be posted? Is it already on, well, the website's under construction, so.
We have a list. We have a list of potential developers as well that attended the meeting back in the fall. We'll be reaching out to them once it's approved and get that moving forward, but the list is over 200 properties currently.
Okay, thank you.
Clerk Roberts?
Councilman Cassoff,
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilman Franklin,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Williams,
Aye.
Bill number 7330 passes. We move to any unfinished business / old business. Councilman Franklin.
City Attorney, I would like you to give us some clarity. Bill number 7325, it died, but Councilman Williams did second it. So I just want clarity if we are able to rescind motions, or will we have to vote because it was seconded?
So first, Ferguson's ordinances, the city attorney cannot weigh in on a parliamentarian question.
Exactly.
Okay,
So it has to be-
I just wanted clarity because the applicants just left and they heard that, so I just wanted to know if we had to take an official vote since it was seconded. Because I thought you could only rescind after a motion had been voted on at another meeting, but I may be wrong in that. That's why I was asking, so.
If a motion is placed on the floor and the person who placed the motion, they can withdraw it, and the person who seconded can withdraw it. She did not withdraw. He withdrew his second, so therefore we needed another second. And therefore, nobody came forward. I called for a second 4 times, and it died on the floor.
I have no issue with that. I didn't second anything. I'm just saying, I'm just making sure, I just wanted clarity of the rules. That's all.
That's why I called 4 times for a second after Councilman Williams withdrew his second. And the motion died on the floor. Do we have any unfinished business, any old business? I would just like to say, I think I should put it here because this is old business. Tonight, I was on a conference call with Congressman Wesley Bell, and it was 2020. Okay, we put in for the community project funding from the federal government, and we submitted it for 501 Plaza. At the time, I did a support letter. Councilwoman Orr did a support letter. You were the Parks and Recreation person. Linda did a support letter, and Phaedra did a support letter. And in the conference call tonight, Congressman Wesley Bell, he was excited that the Appropriation Committee granted the city of Ferguson the funding of $1 million to enhance the 501 Plaza. That deserve a hand. $1 million. Oh, Lord Jesus, we just got the notice today. We were talking, I had to get off the phone, but he is going to do a press release. Ferguson is going to do a press release, and we're going to have a ceremony with this huge check for $1 million.
Just don't tell him, don't mail the check.
We will not mail the check.
Drop it off.
He will. So this is a project that's close to Dave's heart. He had been working on it, and finally Congressman Wesley Bell pushed it through. Thank you, Congressman. That's my old business. Do we have any new business?
I do, Mayor.
Councilwoman Noah.
Just right quick, and I apologize because I believe this is new business, although we kind of just touched on this with Bill number 7330. And you stated that you're going to bring in developers. So my suggestion is to have a redevelopment summit. You know, is there an opportunity to regionally advertise to developers, have a spring summit, utilize the media to market to developers, you know, offer like a breakfast lunch, a tour of our city, a presentation on all the land that is available for redevelopment?
Yeah, we did this.
Woman Noah.
Sorry.
We already talked
Well, that's
to 25 developers. They came here. We presented all the property. So we've done that.
Okay.
They waiting on the next step.
Okay, well, you know, okay, so
They
the
did
next,
tour the city. They gave us what they wanted and whatever, so.
okay, well, looking forward to learning more about that. The next piece of new business, which I'm asking the council and mayor, their input on city staff and legal working towards legislation that mandates that any bill introduced by a council member or the mayor has to first come to council for review prior to being placed on the agenda. That was kind of talked about earlier in an email conversation. And I know that Dave and I spoke earlier before the meeting, and he was explaining that, with new staff, they're just not aware of the procedures that we had in place, which is fine with me. This is not to point an error out to anyone at all. But because there was a bill placed on the agenda, and I didn't find out about it until I read the agenda, and we had in the past been sending bills out or bills that we wanted to, amendments to ordinances or introductions. We have been sending that information out to council. And so earlier in the conversation, Councilman Kassoff suggested, well, Councilwoman Noah, if you have an issue with that, because there's no official procedure in place, why don't you introduce the bill? But I wanted to discuss this with the council and the mayor to get their input. Do we need a bill that states that? Or is this something that we're just going to do moving forward, or just like a little?
So what you're saying is, for example, the bill that Councilman Kassoff spoke about early, you want it to come to council first for discussion, and then I think that's what we do anyway.
Well, that's what we have been doing until this 7332 came about. But again, Dave and I spoke before the meeting, and he explained that, again, we know that Clerk Roberts is new, so this is no fault to her, but there was a procedure in place where this is what we were doing, but somehow this bill went to the attorneys and did not come to council before it was placed on the agenda.
It did. Apollo sent his statement and his explanation. Yes, he did. If I read it, everybody should have read it.
I didn't see it. I mean, I'm sorry, did I miss it? Well, please go ahead. That's why
Councilman Kassoff.
So when I'm proposing a bill that's making a significant policy change, you're used to getting those emails from me with a draft of the bill, and we have a big, long discussion about it before I introduce the bill. If it's just a minor procedural bill, that might not happen. But I think it still went through something. I honestly, the mayor remembers better than me. But like the bill that's changing the actual zoning code, that one's been out there in our emails for months. And right now, I believe it's with the attorney. Or no, it came back from the attorney, but there's more, they've got to duplicate it to the other zoning districts. But that one's been out there in the email for quite a while. But if it's just a little one, a special use permit or something like that, and everybody knows what's going on anyway, there wasn't really a whole lot to discuss. So I can see where somebody might have missed it.
Well, and I can respect if anyone missed anything and made a mistake, but that's why I'm asking and we're having the conversation, because if your name is placed on it, you must have known about it. And as a council rep, I would like to know as well. And that's all that I'm asking. And so earlier when we spoke about it, you suggested that maybe, did you not suggest it?
Well, if you want to make a specific requirement of council members to move legislation in a certain way, you have to do that by ordinance. There's a section in the ordinance which specifies the manner in which legislation has to move forward. And in fact, when we implemented the requirement that we have named sponsors on legislation, that was an amendment to that specific section of the ordinance. So if you want to make it a requirement, it has to be an ordinance. If you want to ask people as a matter of courtesy to do something, of course, you're always free to do that, and somebody may do it or they may not. If I'm introducing what I would consider legislation that makes substantial changes to the ordinance, I always put that out very long in advance and ask people to comment on it. But it may be a less formal process for something minor like a special use permit or, because a special use permit is not changing an ordinance
No.
that everyone's gonna have to follow. It's just letting one lady open a daycare, and that went through a lot of processes before that anyway. But again, if you're asking for courtesy, absolutely. please.
I'm asking for courtesy.
And
Apollo sent the information out about this.
Maybe I didn't see it, Mayor. Did you see it, Councilwoman Cousins? Do you recall? Maybe I just don't recall.
I'll dig up the email and send it to everybody, but I do remember Apollo saying, if we have a public hearing and there's no one objecting to the hearing, then we could have the first reading. Now, that's how I read it from Apollo, but he sent it to all of us.
I do remember that email, yes.
He sent it to all.
I remember the email from Apollo, yes.
He sent this to all of us.
But I could say something real quick.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think what she's talking about, so when I first got on council, and this might have just been you, Kassoff, it would be, do anybody want to sponsor this with me? And it would be an email like
Oh, I
that.
see,
So I
yeah.
think that's what, and then it made it very clear on, you'll read it and then you'll say, yes, I'll sponsor it. And I think you've even done that before. Do anybody want to sponsor this, with me?
And not even sponsor, but just support, or is there any
Yes.
input? Just because we are trying to, I really am trying to work better with the council, and I just, when I saw this on the agenda, it was just like, well, where did this come from? So that's it. It is an ask.
Okay. Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. So this is kind of twofold in my opinion, because there's two different scenarios here. Internally, from staff, we've already asked department heads to be more timely when they have a matter that needs to come in front of council to get sponsored from council. It hasn't been done well the past 2 or 3 months with holidays, changes because of things that have happened in the past, last minute things. But an email did go out to staff. We would like at least 2 weeks notice for something to come on your agenda. Moving forward, those will then be emailed to you guys looking for sponsorship. However, on the reverse side of that, when you guys bring legislation forward, that's kind of on you guys to pass amongst yourselves. So from a staff perspective, things that are coming from us, resolutions, that type of thing, we're going to try to fix that in-house as best we can. And we have a separate Dropbox and everything else to get that sorted out to come to sponsorship for you guys. But like I said, on the reverse side, we can't fix when it comes to communication up there. So I just wanted to point that out, that we are trying to fix our side.
Well, that's why I asked when we got to bill number 7332. And it had, I got Councilman Kassoff on it. Is there anyone else that like to sponsor it? Did I not?
You did. And also to be clear, when I actually introduce legislation, I always copy the city manager, the assistant manager, as well as the city clerk. So, that's just something I do as a matter of routine. And sometimes I post it on Facebook if I think, like the daycare thing, I've done Facebook posts asking for the public input on it because I think that's a matter of high interest to people. And, so I put it out there as much as I can.
So, Assistant City Manager, when you get a bill or resolution, before we talk about it, would you please send it out to the to the council and ask who would like to sponsor it?
We will do our best.
Okay, thank you. Will that help, ma'am? Okay, miscellaneous. Let's start with Councilwoman Noah.
I don't have that much. I just will say that on Monday, February 23rd, 2026, we'll have the Southwest meeting that we were going to have last month, but it was postponed due to the weather. The meeting will be at 8420 Hill, 63121 zip code at True Vine Missionary Baptist Church. Nesbit Newton meeting will be on Wednesday, February 25th at 6 p.m. at the Ferguson Empowerment Center. I want to say this, regarding the presentation from FYI. When I started on council, I reached out to FYI. I didn't wait on them to reach out to me. You know, I reach out to a lot of people. You know, I don't wait sometimes for people to come to me. You know, that's just the nature of this. This is small town politics, and sometimes we have to meet people where they are, not where we think they should meet us. And I've known Erin for a few years now, and what is her name? Who lives in Forest Wood? That Councilman Williams spoke about earlier. She's part of the Forest Wood Neighborhood Association. She's on Latanya.
Yes.
Latanya, I know the both of them, and they have always been really approachable people. So I don't see them doing anything devious, you know, especially being leaders in FYI. But like I said,
Okay, I know I'm right.
when I first came on council, I extended myself to them. I didn't wait for them to extend themselves to me. And you know, when we going back to the presentation, and we've been talking about this back and forth through text, the council and the city manager, the mayor, you know, the lack of opportunity is historical for a lot of people of color. Everyone isn't going to get an opportunity that affords them $100,000 a year. There will always be people living in poverty. That does not mean that everyone that's living in poverty is out here committing crimes. You know, there's no end result to poverty. I mean, in a perfect world, but in this life, I don't believe there ever will be. And these jobs, even if the average person with a high school diploma or even a college degree, if they're earning $25 an hour, or say $50,000 or $60,000 a year, depending on their family size, they may still be somewhat right above poverty. You know, so I just want us to be realistic with our approach in our conversation. So really what's going on in the world. And the accessibility to firearms. You know, how are all these poor people getting all of these firearms? You know, every day I ask myself these questions. Happy Black History Month to everyone. And again, I thank you, staff. Thank you. Everyone be safe and well.
Thank you, Councilwoman Noah. Councilwoman Covington.
Mine's gonna be short. I wanna, thank both of the individuals with the presentation. It was a lot of knowledge there. Adrian, I will be reaching out to you on the Wednesdays that I am, available to come help out. And if you also have some flyers, you can send me so I can put them at the places where I am at, helping kids and, coaching. I do know you got something on Facebook, but you know, physical piece of paper and put it somewhere will be helpful, too. Thank you for the peaceful meeting. We'll see how Facebook goes, and good night.
Thank you, Councilwoman Covington. Councilman Cassoff. Thank you, Councilman Franklin.
I got nothing.
Councilman Hummer.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilman Williams.
Thank you guys for staying. So you're diehard Ferguson citizens. Because I'm gonna be honest, after public comments, I would leave if I wasn't on council. So while you staying is your commitment to the city. We are stronger together than alone. A house divided cannot stand. So we might have differences of opinions or views, but the main thing is we need to sort out those differences and views and come together to have one understanding. So all you people here that stayed late, you're diehard Ferguson citizens. And I just want to thank you for that. And some of you guys have been in Ferguson longer than I've been alive, and you have a lot of history. And I'm learning that every day. And I just want to piggyback on something that Councilwoman Noah said. So Clark Clark Atlanta's motto is find a way or make one. Let me repeat that. Find a way or make one. So when you go out for one of these jobs and you can't get a job, make your own job. It's a lot of successful Clark Atlanta alumni. Find a way or make one. Yes, you have a segment of the population that's underserved and doesn't get opportunities. But what's in your mind? If you put your mind to it, you can do it. That's all I want to say. God bless you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Deputy Clerk, London, you have anything to share?
No, ma'am.
Clerk Roberts? Assistant City Manager?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Attorney Ryan?
No, thank you.
City Manager?
Yeah, I want to give kudos to Autumn, Hayes and our, collector of revenue. She was the one that actually brought it to us to say, hey, let's go out and look and make sure all these daycares are up and running. So it was her ideal that made us go out. So I want to give her kudos.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I'm glad to see our neighbors out. Really happy to see you. You've been under the weather a little bit, and I'm glad you're out here tonight. We really appreciate you coming and staying, like Councilman Williams said. Really appreciate it. The Forestwood meeting was the first Tuesday in February. And of course, Miss Norma Snowden. We talked about the public works, how they have done a phenomenal job. And we are going to have a luncheon for public works. And anyone would like to participate in the luncheon, call Miss Norma Snowden or see her. I'm buying all the meat like I did the last time out of my own pocket. And we just want to celebrate our public works for the phenomenal job that they did on this snowstorm. Miss Norma, she has always been a champion of the staff. She's done snacks for the firehouse, snacks for the police department, and now we drafting her to do help with snacks and lunch for public work. And there's an old saying, when you see someone doing good, recognize it. And so we're going to recognize Public Works for their efforts during the snow. In addition to that, on April the 11th, which is a Saturday, we will be partnering with the American Red Cross, along with Christian Hospital, the fire department, and the police department. And we all going to get together and we're going to put smoke detectors on the backside of Ward 2. We haven't been in Ward 2 giving smoke detectors, so that's where we're going to start. And if we have any leftover, you've already got some in Ward 3. Say that. We will be using the rest of them in Ward 3. Okay. In addition to that, I am truly excited that Congressman Wesley Bell got us $1 million for the 501 Plaza. Excited about that. So at this, according to Robert Rules, it says, if a second is withdrawn from a motion, or if a motion fails to receive a second, the motion dies on the floor and not considered by the assembly. The chair would note the lack of the second potential and asking for one before moving to the next item. There it is. Okay, I am requesting a motion in a second.
Some second.
Who? Okay, a motion in a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Be out of here. Another late night.